Everybody out there, appreciate you joining me again. My name's Matt Gerber, Director of the Diamond Allegiance. Here today with Matt Fry, Head Instructor, Director of AllStars Baseball Academy, newest member of the Diamond Allegiance, and excited to dive into everything about your program. Matt, appreciate you joining me today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's just jump into it, man. Tell me the story about how you fell in love with this beautiful game. What's your background in it, and what brought you to where you are today?
Yeah, I grew up with a fairly athletic family. We had a real close knit group of cousins. I had eight aunts and uncles, and like 30 something cousins, and all of them played sports. I mean, the majority of them played college sports, and um, so I was just around baseball, basketball, football my whole life, and I wasn't super athletic, so baseball was probably the thing I was best at a early age. And I just loved it. It was 8, 7, 8, 9. I attribute all my success to going outside and hitting acorns and breaking windows with a wiffle ball bat. I would envision myself as a major leaguer and going out there and running through the at bats of a game, and it's just something that from then on I love to do. And my we started getting lessons, which is pretty revolutionary at that time, when I was about 12 years old, and my mother ended up marrying the guy that gave me lessons, and then he built AllStars Academy, which I now work and run at, and so it's been in my blood and DNA for years and years.
That's awesome. I love the hitting acorns thing. I was talking with a couple of guys last week about like just the youth game in general, right? And like how, I know I've got kids, right? And my both of my boys kind of stopped playing at a young age. That introduction to baseball at T-ball and machine pitch. And, I remember I used to go to T-ball and machine pitch so I could practice the things I did with my buddies in the yard, right? And I
Yeah.
so just that story, like I think it's something that baseball needs again. I don't know your thoughts on that, but just the
So
just
yeah, I think we all have too much. Like in our facility, I say like where it's huge and we have everything. We have like, you know, 10 the what are they called? The hack attack machines, they're all over, and we're like a glutton of space and technology where like it's so convenient for guys to come and hit, and they take a miss for granted. If I didn't have any acorns and I had three baseballs and I went on the field and hit them, you weren't taking a miss for granted, or if somebody was throwing to you, they had 5, 6 pitches, you wanted to hit every one, where baseball is, and you get 20 pitches in the same spot, you hit 5 of those and you feel good about yourself, you got to be ready to hit right away. So I think, I actually, I sound like an old man when I'm telling kids to go hit rocks or acorns or wiffle balls, but it's become too easy. And again, these kids have become better than I could have ever dreamed because of all the technology and the different workout programs and body science and all of that. But the back control at a young age, along with playing catch, like fielding, like especially up here in the Northeast, like fielding is the glove work is brutal up here. Because kids don't they can only do it for certain months out of the year, and when they don't do that anymore. They don't play catch. They don't play in the yard like we did. Pretty much everything that every older generation is saying, that kids aren't outside enough. But I can't even do a Zoom call because I don't know anything about technology. So they're making fun of me with that.
well, I think one funny thing I've learned in doing this over the past 3 years is baseball guys aren't very good at Zoom, and I'm one of those. So,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
but yeah, I mean, it's really interesting insight, and I think it sounds like it's something I'm guessing that you guys try to tackle in your facility and the way that you go about teaching the game, right? Like I think it's like you said, there's no doubt that the current way that players are able to train has definitely pushed the floor of the player up, right? Like I
Yeah.
think you still always had the best of the best, the top, right? But I feel like that floor has been pushed through the roof, honestly. of from a player development and all the technologies that we have. But the teaching of the game is super important as well, right? So what are some things that you guys do, both at the indoor and on your teams, that you think kind of help teach that and separate you guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's especially on the pitching side of it, there's a really good place for the technology. I mean, from my side, the hitting side, the hit tracks and all that, it's something you have to have more so because it's kind of like a video game,
Mhm.
that a facility needs to have. But I think the fundamentals and developing, the best, be the best version of yourself, because as you talked about, the floor is now raised. So from a recruiting perspective, like it's hard to make a difference in that, 98 percentile. The 2%, the freaks, they're easy, left-handed bats, left-handed pitchers, 6'4" guys, they're easy to stand out. But if you're that everyday player, there's so many more of that, 98% type of player now that could play college baseball. There's a lot more than when we played. They're a lot more skilled because they specialize in it. So, try to make that best version, try to build a profile for yourself. If you're 6'4" and you're 7'0" and right fielder and we're hitting ground balls, that's probably not the best version of yourself, as opposed, to a guy that is a shortstop and he's 160 pounds, but he's trying to get a ton of launch, and that's worthless. Like, you need to have back control, you need to be able to put the bat, get your butt to first and steal second and score. So, we're not doing anything revolutionary. I think we just want to set up a good plan for everybody to be able to execute, and we have the space and the technology and the teachers to be able to help guide them. But it's their journey. I said my stepfather, owned the place and he helped me, a ton. I've learned so much from him, but I only went to him when I really needed it. And it made it so much more impactful then. If he threw and worked me every day, like it would be more of his than mine. So, having that process be yours helps you kind of understand, your strengths, your weaknesses. And hey, if I'm struggling, I need another eye. That's when coach can help you out. So,
Right on.
that's, you know,
Love that, man. So tell me a story about your guys' program. I mean, I know it's, obviously facility and teams, but when did it start? How did it start? Like, what was the impetus to be like, hey, we need something like this around here?
yeah, our facility started in when I was so like 2001. We were in like the fifth floor of a furniture warehouse, and everyone had to climb up like a ton of steps to hit. And actually, as
Get your
growing up,
cardio in before you
yeah, working out, we
hit.
used to run the steps before we'd hit. But when I was in college, we built the new facility now, which is almost 40,000 square feet, full major league size infield, 10 cages, and then the coin operated iron mic machines too. So it was a pretty aggressive and optimistic plan way back then. There was nothing of its kind. There's a lot of all sports facilities, but as far as like baseball, softball only, it's probably still one of the biggest in the country. I wish it was bigger so we could do all sports in there. But so I've been doing that since I got hurt my junior year, and I had three shoulder surgeries, and became apparent that I wasn't going to be able to really play my senior year. So I had the facility to fall back on, and coaching right away. I went right to, where I played at College of St. Rose, and started coaching there and giving lessons. And that's when Mike, who's the owner, my stepfather, he's now a cross checker with the Brewers, but he was very heavily involved in the lesson game, and probably one of the best instructors around in the whole Mid-Atlantic region. So I did that for a while, and AllStars was, just basically just a training facility and an instructor place. But 6 years ago, I kind of got bored since I've been doing it for so long, and I started to see actually like the the game of baseball travel baseball changed so much. Even though I didn't know much about it, I saw that like the best players I worked with had to go out of the area to do something different, like out of the state. Like some would go, and live in South Carolina the whole summer to play on a different program. And I didn't really know, what that was about until, we started. And I was lucky enough with my first team, which is now 6 years ago, to have, 2 kids drafted, a kid signed, and 10 Division I players off of just one team, where it ended up being 3. And I think out of those 3, every single 3 teams, every single player's playing college baseball right now or in the minor leagues. I was lucky enough to get introduced to, a ton of college coaches because those guys were so good, and understand how like travel baseball has changed from the old Connie Mack and Mickey Mantle days to like the Wild West that it is now. And if you want to be, exposed, and you want to be in that top percentage, you have to go and play out of this area and play the best, because I see really it's the top 100, 200, 300 players. They play on, 50 teams. So if I'm a college coach, I'm going to go, everywhere those teams go. Like there's no reason to, travel all around the country when it's so concentrated to 5, 6, 7 events. So we started that process at 13, and I had some good friends in college coaching that kind of helped guide me, and still trying to figure out what's best. And that's why I jumped in with you guys, because I'm still trying to learn and do what's best for our kids with that. But we've had a great ride so far. With 6 teams, we've only had 6 years. We've only had 3 grad class, or 2 grad classes. This will be our 3rd grad class, because when we started, we just started with a 13-year-old team. So, out of those 2 grad classes, I think we have 55 kids playing in college. So not a bad start. I just hope we can, get better and grow and finish from there.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about, is the outcome, right? I mean, if parents are, spending the effort and the time and the energy and the resources, right? I think, being able to quantify those outcomes is super important, right? And so you guys are obviously doing that at an extremely high level and doing it quickly, which is awesome. So, what if you could kind of think of like one word to encapsulate your guys' program, right? As the guy that's the leader of this, is out there with the kids on a daily basis, what's that one word, and how would you say you try to, exemplify that on a daily basis?
Well, it's 2 words, but I would say never satisfied, or tirelessness as one word. I never want to rest on my laurels. I've always wanted to do better, do more and more. And I've I want guys like that around me, where it's hard to measure success, because we always want to do better. We always want to do more. And in this social media day and age, and where there's so many, in Little League and at a young 13, 14-year-old age, there's so many tournaments that you can go and just dominate, and everyone puts it on Facebook, and everyone's so happy. It's so easy to get like blinded and not realize that, you still got a long way to go. And then, 16, 17 years old, you realize that I spent all this money, time to basically just do, just have fun, which is okay. But I want our guys to, work harder than everyone else. And as a program, we're different from what a lot of the national programs do. We're one pretty concentrated area, about a 30, 40-mile radius. We have guys, we're in New York, and we have some kids over the border in Vermont, and some kids in Massachusetts. But my stipulation is, if you want to play for us, you have to show up to all the workouts. So I want us to be different in that sense of, what the top, programs do is, I want us to be more like kind of team oriented, and, be a team. Because when you go and play in college, it's not about throwing your 2 innings, coming back and checking diamond cast to make sure you hit 90 and be happy regardless of the result. The college coach wants to see you go and play, play for the guy behind you too, the guy next to you. So work ethic, is a big thing for us. I want our guys to work so hard, and we map that out where you can come in our place 7 days a week, and we hope you do. You're only going to be as good as the effort you put in. So I gave you like 7 words, but I would say like tireless is probably the best one word that I can think of.
I only heard one word, so I'm good with it. So this kind of spirals me into another question. So you were saying about how you constructed these teams within a certain area, right? Pretty closely knit. If I'm a parent and I come to you guys, or I'm a player, right? Like, what do I get? Like, what does it mean to play for you guys, right? Like, what does my routine look like, right? Just give me the whole, like, if I were a parent coming to you and being like, hey, I'm interested in playing for you guys, tell me what I get. What is it that I get when I come to play for
Yeah.
you?
So like, for example, our winter workout schedule, we give you like a personal trainer. We have an in-house personal trainer, Leo Corvino. He runs Corvino Performance, and he guys are welcome to come to that 7 days a week. He's been a big part of our success, and gets guys in the building as often as possible, to kind of have that camaraderie built, and kind of feed off each other's work ethic. Whenever we get somebody on a team that's like on my first team, Michael Kennedy, who's now with the Pirates, who's drafted in the 3rd round, going committed to LSU, but got drafted as a 17-year-old kid 2 years ago. He just he was amazing because he outworked everybody, and that just built that team. That just made that team so much better because of what him and some of the other players did around him. That just made the culture just that much greater, to have everyone working together. So you can go and do that 7 days a week. What's kind of like mandatory is we have a pitching program for every team. We have a hitting program for every team. Both are 1.5 hour classes, and then we have our field practice. So like periodically throughout the year, like usually in the fall, we'll do like a middle infielder clinic and a corner infielder clinic. So we give a ton in the off season, and that's how I think we can be so competitive being from such a small area, is because we give a lot. Now with all we give, we can never do as many tournaments. We don't have the budget to do 12 tournaments like some of the other programs do. But we try to make the off season as productive as possible by giving you more than I'd put that up against anybody, what we do and what we offer. And I'm a part of, I run the whole program, and I personally coach one team now. But I am there at every hitting practice, running every hitting practice along with the team coaches. And I have a pitching guy, a very experienced pitching guy, Nick Davey, that runs our pitching stuff, and just surrounding myself with really good experienced people, but also like-minded people. Of none of us are doing this to get rich. We're doing this, our reward is the success of the kids. So hopefully in 10 years, when we got some major leaguers, maybe I can get my monetary reward with a little thank you by sending some money our way. But as of now, it's not about money at all. We actually don't do very well off the team. So it's just about the success. It's all about the success of the kids and what they can become. So surround myself with all the best coaches I can, that not only, like I said, not only experienced, but also want to do this and want to take pride in their individual teams, and have as much hunger as I do to make them better.
Yeah, well, why don't we jump into that a little bit more? I know you mentioned Nick, but who are some of the guys and girls, I'm sure, that are really important to the success of not only the facility, but also the teams? Who are some key people that are along for the ride with you?
Well, every one of our coaches are key, because I expect a lot out of them for not like a huge, financial windfall. Like we expect they could probably make an equal amount of money, coaching in a lot of places, but not do as much work. So I expect a lot of them, and all of them, they live up to that because they want to be here. So every single coach in our program is huge for us. And we have guys that I'm not the only one that crosses over. I have guys like um, that will see other players and want to work with other players, even though they're on another team. So I wouldn't be anywhere if I didn't have good people around me for the coaching staff. I'm only one person, and that's where I think having I've seen a lot of upstart kind of programs around here that had that really good first team, but or maybe another team, but they couldn't sustain that success because they didn't have the what we have behind us, and the facility, and the people that are experienced and want to be here. So not going to name them all, but every single one of my coaches is huge for me. Maggie and Teresa, who do all of our logistics stuff, deal with the parents, get us the hotels, the tournaments, uniform sizing, apparel order, all the stuff that I would never do in a million years. They do, and they do an amazing job of it. So I personally would never be able to do that kind of thing. So if I didn't have them, I'd be in big trouble. And I also mentioned Leo, who runs our performance program. He's been a major part of it. And my mother, who still involved in AllStars, she helps Maggie and kind of oversees it, and she's still the owner of AllStars. So she is as much invested in these teams as us, as much as she would used to love to watch me play and get really nervous and frustrated and throw crap when I struck out. Like it's now the same thing when she's watching Game Changer for one of the teams. And if somebody like from around the area like followed myself or my mother around when we didn't have an actual game that we were coaching, they would understand what the program meant to us. Because when a game is on, like on Game Changer or whatever, it's on live stream, like you're gonna see some like holes in the wall and some yelling and screaming and
Sounds like a pretty
all
good
that.
reality TV show to me, Matt. I
It
think
would
we
be a
might
good
need to. I
reality
think we
TV
might need
show.
to get some
Me
cameras and
and my
start
mom,
following you guys around.
two loose cannons for sure. But it just shows how much we love it, like
Yeah.
how much we want these kids to do well. And I don't know. I went off on a tangent. I don't even remember. Oh, people I'm thanking. Yeah, everyone involved. Everyone involved is huge for me. We wouldn't be where we are without all the wonderful support we get.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the parents, honestly, the parents, because this area, is not known for doing it at the level we do, what we expect. So for somebody to buy in and trust us and spend all the money and bring their kids to practice 4 or 5 days a week, and if I didn't have great parents, I wouldn't be able to pull this off either. So
That's a great call out right there. And I think out of all these I've done, that's the first time I've heard that. So, and it is the truth. I think that the parents have a a lot to do, obviously on the financial side, no doubt, but even just the culture of a travel organization, the parents that you have. I know from my experience of running an organization for 15 years, the best groups I had the best parents.
yeah.
And it's really true. So you've been in the game pretty your whole life. Fairly new, 6 years to the team side of it, but been instructing and coaching for a long time. If you could go back in time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what's one piece of advice you would give yourself about coaching, about mentoring, about travel baseball? Is there one thing you've learned that you'd like to go back and tell your earlier self?
Yeah, I I wish I did more. I mean, we all wish we did more. I love to hit. I loved it with all. It was my favorite thing to do. Baseballs and going on dates were probably my two favorite things to do as a young adult. But I didn't love to work out. It was was a struggle for me. I didn't love to feel ground balls, and everyone would see me hit every day, and I'd be like, wow, what a great work ethic, and really, I just did what I love to do. A great
Mhm.
work ethic would have been doing what I didn't love to do. It's called work. So if you're doing something you love, it's not necessarily work. So I wish, I could tell myself, and we've all been seen parents where it's like, all right, if you've had five coaches not put your kid at shortstop, like there's not like a dedicated effort between five different people to
Not a
screw your kid
conspiracy
over.
theory. Not a conspiracy
Like
theory.
there's we don't have an app that we put up and let's screw your kid.com. Like like if he's not playing short, there's a reason he's not playing short. And I wish I knew that back then, hey, why am I not playing? Why is coach wanting to put me at first? Why am I DHing this game? Why am I not playing short? Why am I not playing third? And it's like, well, I wasn't as good as the kid that was playing there. And if I, could go back and say, what do they, now as a coach and have been involved, I could have easily identified what he did better than me. But what can I do now to be better than this kid or these five kids on these five different teams that are playing, short or third over me while I'm at first. So that's I'd probably tell myself to do more of the things that will work and go to school too, because my life would have been a lot easier if I did my schoolwork. I would have, I had a ton of Division I offers, but I struggled getting into school. I went to a JUCO, and I, kind of I dominated that JUCO. It was up here, so it wasn't like, down in Florida. But I think my freshman year, I led the country in hitting for, 10 weeks. So I definitely didn't want to go back a second year. And in order for me to do that, in order for me to go to a Division I school with my grades out of high school, um, complete my degree, which I didn't want to do. So I went to St. Rose on a full scholarship, which I don't regret. But looking back, I wish I went to some of those big Division Is where I could have learned and now been a better coach because of that. So yeah, that's probably all.
I love it. Is there things in that you try as a coach now that you would you say you really preach those things now to your
Yeah,
kids,
I mean,
right?
I see. Yep,
Doing the
I see
work
it.
and making sure to go to class.
Yeah, I see coaches like all the time, like try to like, guys that were good players, like try to be, replicate what they were, and let's be real. If you're 35 and you're now like coaching, like, you should have been a lot better, could have been a lot better. So you shouldn't be telling them to, do what you did. You need to be telling them to do everything that you didn't do and should have done. And yeah, I'm a big proponent of that, learning from my mistakes, and I'll even share like with kids like all my experiences, what I could have done better, because I do think I had a gift in hitting a baseball, and if I did, the rest of the things I should have, I could have, barring the injury, possibly made a career out of it.
Mhm.
But I see these kids now that, if a lot of times, because we do so much, we give so much with practice, they think that's that's just the minimum of what you should be doing. If we're hitting 3 days a week, you should be hitting, on your own the other four. So yeah, I try to definitely help my guys and help them learn from my past experiences and what I failed at.
Love it. So I'm gonna put these kind of two together here. What would you say is your why? Like, what gets you excited about getting up and going to this every day? Obviously, it's like you said, you don't get into this to get rich. If you want to do that, you go work on Wall Street or in commercial real estate or whatever the heck it is, right? So what's your why? And then, where do you see your guys' program in 5 years, right? You're kind of 6 years into the team side of it, but what's your vision for your program 5 years from today?
Well, the why, it's like corny and cliche thing, but the why is the kids. Like when I see the kids have like, real success. And I preach, like, we're looking for like real accomplishments. Like, all right, let's, popping 105 on hit tracks, ball exit speed, or throwing 93 um up against the tic-tac-toe board. Like, yeah, that's awesome, but that's nothing. That's not there, that's not a real accomplishment. If you have 105 ball exit speed, but strike out 65% of the time, like, it doesn't matter if you or 205 ball exit speed. If you throw 93, but can't get a single solitary out, like, that's useless.
Yeah.
So, like, real accomplishments in terms of, like, hey, let's have a goal, like, to be first team, all area, first team all state, like, getting that, starting small, or like tournament MVP when they're 13. Like, hey, 13-year-olds, what are our goals? Let's, what kind of player you are. Let's try to get 30 runs scored this year. Like, that should be your goal. Forget your batting average, like 30 runs scored or 30 RBIs. Have those real accomplishments, and then that turns into even more real accomplishments of, a college scholarship, or even a college, roster spot. Like, those are the things that we're looking to do, because it's pretty easy to, like, blind somebody. We can go to a bunch of tournaments and never lose.
Yeah.
We could absolutely never lose on most of the tournaments on the Eastern Seaboard. We could go and do that, because a lot of them are just, kind of for profit and for fun. But I'd rather, like, around here, when I play my local league, I sign my kids up a year to start, and then we start signing up 2 years old. So my 13-year-old team is signed up as a 14-year-old team, and they get their butts worked at 13, because that difference between 13 and 14
Yeah.
is huge.
Huge.
And I never let, like, any of my coaches, like, post anything about beating a local team. I want to have respect in that, or even beating a non-local team. But, like, when a team can post something about beating us, like, I take that as, hey, like, we just gave them a huge gift. That's going to be their best accomplishment they have. We're doing this now the way we're doing it, so we can have a real accomplishment. So in 20 years, they can tell their kid they beat AllStars Academy when they were 14 and we're 13, right? In 20 years, hopefully you have a lot more to say about, what you did on the baseball field, but also obviously what you did as a person too.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Love it. Love it.
and
So,
then what was the other one? I'm sorry.
well,
Where are we
so
going to
where do
be
you
in
see,
5 years?
yeah, where do you see the program in 5 years? Where do you want to take it?
Well, it's hard with our format, of just, taking mostly local guys. Like, it's hard to really tell, like, how to grow from that. Like, because we only have so many guys in this area. Like, I right now could have 5 teams at every age group just for this area. But you're only as strong as your weakest link. And, there's not that, I want to, like I said, I want to have the best people involved. So I don't want to water down this process. So, I'm happy with where we are. Obviously, you always want to grow. And if I can build and remain keep the integrity of our program, I'll absolutely do that. But I think, once programs start getting a little too big, it takes away from the initial goal of actually the kids. And so, for success, I'd love for us to be able to, go and win a national event, or even make the last day of a national event. Because of how we're constructed, it's very difficult at a WWBA, to, after, having to go 7-0 in pool play, to now win 7 more games in 3 days with a 15-man roster, because we don't take guest players. So if I think the furthest we've ever went is the quarterfinals, just because we don't have enough pitching. If we ever made that last day, I would consider it a huge accomplishment for us. So goals wise, I'd like to win a national event, or get as far as we possibly can with that.
Love it. Love it. And I think that's, like, obviously some guys growth is it, but I think, staying true to yourself is hugely important, right? And doing what you do, and doing it really well. So I love it. I love the answer. So last two here, I'm gonna throw them together again for you so you can kind of just stream of consciousness go through it. First one's my favorite is, imagine there were the commissioner of travel baseball, and you were it. You were Rob Manfred of travel ball, and you had the power to enact some changes. What's one thing that you would immediately change, and what's one thing that you would add? And then just as a piggyback on that, obviously super excited to have you guys as part of what we're doing. As you know, you listen to you talk and the way that you do things, it's exactly what we want in the industry and what we want for travel baseball. So the piggyback to that again, what's one thing you would change about travel ball? What's one thing you would add, and why did you guys decide to join the Diamond Allegiance?
Well, as a commissioner, like I said, we've only been doing this for 6 years, so I all I know is back, what we did in Connie Mack and Mickey Mantle to now, it's quite different. I would try to make it less cutthroat within, the top organizations. I would probably try to monitor grown men reaching out to 14-year-old boys via DM. I would probably consider that a little creepy. If you want to reach out to their parents, that's one thing, but just to constantly DM people about, when you see them play for somebody else, I just think, you have very low character if you're doing that. And at the end of the day, like, what are you like, for us to have success? Like, it's why I put so much in. It's why I get crushed when we lose. I'm happy when we win, but way more crushed when we lose, because I feel like we have so much, into each and every one of these players. So, so much time dedicated, so much, effort, and they've put in so much effort for us too. So I think travel was better back in, back the aggregate of travel. Baseball was better, for example, in our town, area. If you were the best 12, 15 players at an age group, you'd play on, one team that, does a little more traveling, but everyone else would play for their town. So their town team, local, like Mickey Mantle, Connie Mack baseball would be like varsity or JV minus, the best player, the best two players, maybe. Where, now, like, you have 60,000 teams. So it gets really, really watered down. And then the biggest programs, just they see a kid and they try to get them. And it's indicative of the program you're running. If you have a revolving door, like kids are leaving, then you are doing something wrong. But I do think that we should, the top program should be, should be less adversarial. And we're all trying to do this for the kids, and let's make it about that, and let's help each other out. And I would, with that, like, have a tier system where, WWA is awesome. Like, we love Perfect Game, we love all that stuff. But if I would have a tier system, and there's a different, week for maybe the top 50 to 100 teams than the other. So, coaches, we don't have to play on 100 fields, where East Cobb only has 3 at the main site. And if you're lucky enough to play there, it's great. But I would like to, I would try to make it more, especially for the kids that are super serious about it and really good, like, to make it more about recruiting and less about, trying to, make as much money as possible. Not that I'm knocking anything from any organization, but it's a hard balancing act, obviously. To answer your question, I sure as heck wouldn't want that job to try to turn around travel baseball, but I think it's in, a good spot. There's a couple of things that we, as, maybe leaders in the program can try to change. And that's the first thing, that segueing to the next part. I like I said, we should all be helping each other out. So the top programs, the people that think alike. So when I first spoke to you, and we kind of, talk off the same script, where we're both, thinking the same things about everything. And So that immediately drew me because I have people soliciting me for our program for everything. I get calls all the time, and
Yeah.
everything sounds good, and we have a small budget, but like after speaking to you and seeing what what you guys offer and what the programs that are in with you, it's a no-brainer to get involved in a network of people, college coaches, travel coaches, and then all the logistical stuff you do. It would be stupid for us not to do it. Personally, I'm doing it just to one of my main reasons, just to be around people like you that can possibly help me, as I am fairly new to this, help me continue to grow and never rest on my laurels and our organization's laurel, and keep getting better and better. So from the jump, DA really attracted me from our first phone call. So I'm really excited to be a part of it.
Matt, I appreciate your time today. Like I said, we're just as excited to have you, and just know the beginning of this relationship is starting. Looking forward to seeing how we can help you and help elevate on a national stage what you guys are doing, and that's doing things the right way and doing a phenomenal job. So appreciate your time today, man, and obviously look forward to catching up in person soon. So hope you have a great one.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for having us.